All right, guys, we're very excited here at the Brohio podcast. I haven't even conducted the interview yet, but I know this is going to be one of my most favorite interviews ever.
I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. We're here with John Edmonds from the Stardust Ranch. John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be great.
This is the best day ever, John.
Well, I'm happy I could be of service.
Yeah, I wrote you an email a few months ago, but I know that you probably get bombarded with stuff all week long. It's probably hard to keep track of it all by yourself.
I try to, but you know what? I get 300 to 400 emails a day, and I get as many as 150, 200 phone calls a day.
Holy crap, man.
That's on a slow day. There are days like yesterday, I got 400 different friend requests from Facebook. So it gets pretty intense.
Well,
plus I do interviews all over the world. So, I'm always meeting new people, cool people. There's always a few trolls out there working around, but I feed those to the fans. And so it's entertainment for me.
Oh, that's the best, man.
That's great.
I love it. Now I know yesterday it just so happens I was digging into the research, and then up pops a post from Disclosed TV where they put some stuff that might not necessarily been true up on the ranch, and they have a few 100,000 followers. And
there's tons of stuff out there that's not true.
Yeah.
When we did a campaign, actually it wasn't me. I had a realtor that decided that she was just going to take license upon herself and just do whatever she thought she needed to do. She didn't even check with me, and she started putting out press releases all over the world.
Oh, wow.
And next thing I know, I've got people flying in from foreign countries to look at the ranch. I've got, the Miami Herald wants me to be on the cover or whatever. I've got, I was everywhere for like 3 months. Everywhere you looked, I was there with Stardust Ranch. And we had every main channel come out, like CBS, NBC, everybody was out here.
Oh, man.
And, we got a ton of publicity out of it, but that wasn't what I was really looking for. But,
right.
It happened, so I just had to deal with it. Yeah. But a lot of things were said by secondary news sources.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the ranch was $6.5 million. That was never the right price.
But if someone would have come to you with $6.5 million, you'd have been like, sure, give me that check though, right?
No, you know what? I would have said, it was offered at $5 million. Keep the other $1.5 million for yourself, and God bless you.
That's why you're a good man, John.
I don't screw people or take advantage of anybody. It's got to be the truth with me all the time, or I'm not interested.
That's awesome.
Good man.
You have way better character than we do, John. Now, for this episode, we kind of we tell the story that I've gathered from all of you. See, I didn't go very much off of articles I read online. I went to all of the different podcasts and different YouTube videos that you've done, and I kind of got the experiences from you from your mouth. So
yeah, well, feel free to ask me anything you want to. I mean, I'm an open book.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Sorry
about that.
That's all right. You're good, man.
Like I said, everybody, the ranch, everybody thinks the ranch is open 24/7.
Right. No, you're good, man. I understand. But, first off, one thing that gets lost in the shuffle of all this is the fact that you are doing incredible things for the animals at the ranch, rescuing horses, rescuing dogs, and I know that's a huge undertaking, and it takes a huge heart and countless sleepless nights. We have a lot of animal lovers that listen to the show. We have a lot of, and we're animal lovers ourselves, so we just want to
I've been doing it my whole life. Yeah. I long before I got the ranch, I was rescuing dogs. I was, rescuing parrots. I'm one of those guys, if I walk down a street in a strange city, everybody's animal comes out to greet me. And, if I'm not careful, half of them want to come home with me.
I'm that way with cats, not much else, but I talk to the cats.
I mean,
sure.
When I was younger, before I got married, I wish it had been the women that would have done that. But it was always the dogs.
The kitty whisperer.
Amen.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man. Oh, so, but yeah, I just want to say thanks for the work that you do for the animals, and I know you got a big heart, man. I just want to say we appreciate what you're doing for the animals.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I just, we have to clean up this world, and we have to find a way to, be really kind to all the inhabitants. And as I always tell everybody, I mean, just because we're the most prolific species, that doesn't make us the only species.
You're absolutely
and very
right.
clearly with the ETs, that's true. And, obviously we live in a world that is rich, with
Yes.
biodiversity, and we've got to protect that
You're
at all
absolutely
costs.
right. I love it, John. Your message speaks to my heart, man, but I still hate snakes. I don't care what you tell me. I can't do snakes.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about them either.
Okay.
You don't have to love them to want to protect them.
You're right. You're right about that. My wife, she's from Phoenix, so we go out there and we visit about once a year. And I have this irrational fear of stepping on a rattle, like a diamondback or.
I've done it myself. I've been bitten before. The whole works.
You've been bit by pleasant. You've been bit by a diamondback?
Yeah. Here on the ranch. I've had. Oh man, probably 3 radical experiences with snakes, and what's funny is stuff bites me and it dies.
Oh, jeez! What are you eating, man?
It's not that. It's just because ever since I came to the ranch and got involved with the ETs, my wife and I have both had so many times when we have been personally sampled, let's say.
Oh my
God. As a result of that, anything that bites me, a black widow spider, scorpion, snake, it just dies.
That is gnarly.
It is. It's crazy.
God.
I wish I could go into a bar and figure out a way to get free drinks for it, but it just hasn't worked out that way yet.
Hey, I bet if you drink my blood, you'll die. You owe me a pint. You owe me a pint if you do.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, hopefully we're going to hit you with some questions. Like we said, we cover your story. So most of the interviews I hear you conduct, you kind of go through your story from the start to the beginning. It's the same thing for the most part of your time.
It gets old too, I tell you. I mean, I understand people got to have some place to start, but I tell you, I feel like I moved to this ranch 1,000 times already.
I bet.
And that's what we're trying to not do. We're trying to tell a story for you and give you the opportunity to touch on some stuff and pick your brain in a way that maybe you haven't necessarily been picked before. So
good. Yeah, pick away.
All right. Now, by your own testimony, you classified these dark entities as extraterrestrial biological entities, or some people might just refer to them as aliens or ETs, like you've called them. But with all the people you've had come through the ranch, has anyone ever classified them as anything else, such as like a demonic activity or more of like a time traveler? Has anyone called them anything besides what you think they are?
Well, there's a lot of people that are coming at the whole paranormal scenario from a religious point of view, and I really try to discourage that, because religion is, in my opinion, the one thing that has set humanity back hundreds, if not thousands of years from being able to get to the future.
Absolutely.
Because every time somebody comes up with some really cool shit, they can't get it out there because somebody who's, wearing a funky hat, who's standing in a church someplace says, you know what, I'm going to zap you with a lightning bolt and, cut off your winky if you, put that out there.
We've already cut our winkies off, John. It's all right.
So the bottom line is that, what I tell people is this: if you're going to be here on the ranch and you want to be open to understanding what's happening here, you can't label it. Okay. I mean, it might be ghosts, it might be ETs, it might be whatever. But the bottom line is, when you see it and feel it for yourself, you're going to know that this is definitely, completely off the charts in terms of what's happening. And we've had people that have had the most amazing experiences here, and they just look at me and they go, I knew it was going to be radical. I had no idea it was going to be like this. God. Oh my God. And I just look at them and I go, yeah, well, you were one of the lucky ones.
My hair's standing up right now.
That's great.
It's pretty crazy.
It's the fact that you are so like, you just stare this, whatever it is, you just stare it down and kick it in the ass. But the fact that you say right off the rip, you say, don't put a name tag on it, because, no one really knows for sure what it is or what it's trying to accomplish.
They don't wear badges, this isn't like you're going to a conference and, some little, guy pops up and his name is EBE number, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. And we were very fortunate that, a long time ago, back in 2011, we had somebody come out to the ranch and actually bring some individuals with them that did turn out to be ETs.
Oh my God.
And, I have my greatest hits list of questions if you ever get to sit down with an ET. And so I sat down with my 100 questions, and I sat there and interviewed them for 4 hours.
That's incredible.
And then after that, my wife and I walked outside, sat on the bed of my pickup truck on the tailgate, and these guys proceeded to show us the biggest, most incredible flying saucer I've ever seen or ever could have imagined of seeing. That's amazing. Even, in the most drug-induced state of mind, I couldn't imagine something this cool.
Oh my God.
Not that I do drugs.
No, it's fine, man. We're not allowed to do anything in Ohio, so we're pretty much just drink beer and have sex with our cousins. So now with
whatever does it for you, man.
Right. Well, one of the things you have received, not necessarily something you wanted, but you've received a lot of notoriety and attention for the ranch. And I can, last year, no, it's been a couple years ago, I went out to Phoenix for vacation with my wife, like we always do. And it's like an aunt, but she said, "Hey, you want to go check out this alien ranch?" And I said, "I have no fucking clue what you're talking about right now." She said, "There's a guy just outside Phoenix, and he's got a lot of stuff going on at his ranch. He's had to kill some of these ETs. There's some dark entities." Exactly. She didn't drop that number, but she said he's had to, kill some ET. I'm like, I have no interest in subjecting myself to that kind of danger. So she's like, all right on, man. You do you. But we ended up just going out in the desert and doing peyote that night. So it kind of worked out in my favor.
Well, cool.
How often do you have to run people off, or people that just kind of out there causing a ruckus that I'm not sure how far from civil? I think you said there's
about houses. 40 miles.
Okay. But there's like
Phoenix.
There's a lot. Do you get a lot of visitors that you don't want out there aside from the ETs?
Men in Black. Yeah, occasionally. I mean, we get weird stuff. I mean, everything here is weird. So it's just a question: is it more weird or less weird?
Right. Well,
like a lot of guys that sign up for like the Marine Corps or the Army or stuff like that. I don't know why, but this is like a rite of passage. They have to drive out in 5 or 6 pickup trucks full of guys, and they all just got their Stardust Ranch, tattoo, and which is crazy because I didn't even know that existed at the time.
That's awesome.
These guys come out and they want me to sign the tattoo, or they want me to sign their T-shirt or their boots or whatever, their girlfriend. So yeah, sometimes we do that. I'm actually thinking about having like a sign the tattoo day or something. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, we get a lot of people that come out. We get skanky women that come out that think that they're going to be groupies. I have to send them away too. Or I just tell them to call my wife and make arrangements.
Get in line, bitch. That's awesome. How are you? How is your relationship with the local law enforcement?
I don't know. I try to avoid them, and the less I see of them, the better.
That's fantastic. That really works.
I mean, I don't have a problem with them. I don't have a problem with law enforcement in general, but every once in a while something will happen out here, and we have to call. The problem is that we've got a handful of sheriff's deputies out here for like thousands of square miles.
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's like there have been times that I've called them because of something that was really serious. And it was 2 or 3 days before they could get out here.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, that's why, in a sense out here, we kind of deal with our own justice system.
Hell yeah.
It's the Wild West.
I get what you're saying, John.
It is. It really is.
Now, whenever
I grew up in Chicago, so it's like, I grew up, dealing with stuff right then and there.
You know how to protect yourself.
Well, I'm not a badass, but you know what? When somebody's got to take care of business, you got to take care of business.
Love it. Now, you also welcome a lot of investigators and experts on the property. Have you, in the middle of their investigation, have you had to ever tell any of these people to get their shit and leave, or they've all kind of you let them run their course and finish what they're doing?
It depends. I watch them real closely because, unfortunately, some of these guys, they have like no couth. And it's like, we've had them like try to bring heavy equipment out here and dig up the ranch.
What the
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, we literally had Bigelow out of Las Vegas who wanted to bring, all sorts of an army of heavy equipment and dig up the ranch before he bought it. And I told him, I said, you know what, man, this is one of those deals. You break it, you buy it. So,
yeah.
Why would they even think that was okay?
Well, because, it's one of those deals where they assume consent. They're used to just, kind
doing
of
whatever they
figuring
want.
that their backyard is, from sea to shining sea. And so they just figure they can do whatever they want to.
Wow.
And I just told them absolutely no uncertain terms. That is not going to happen. I'll answer your questions. We can do the drug test, the lie detector test, blood test, pee test, whatever you want to do, but no digging up the ranch. Just not cool.
God, I respect that. So, I guess you have had to tell some people to shove it up their ass then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, nicely. Yeah, I try to be polite as much as I can be.
That's good. I like that. Now, we spoke earlier in the episode about you decapitating the grays. You have to cut the antenna, is what I understand, or they put out what I can call a distress call or a phone home type call. Do you have any experience with maybe with I guess wounding one of them but not cutting the antenna? What happens if you don't make that, I guess, that separation of the head from the body?
Well, what happens is this. I've had dogs that have attacked these things because they got to them before I did, and they actually just bit the holy living hell out of them. I mean, just chomped on them like a rawhide bone. And unfortunately, they have some kind of very acidic body fluid. I don't want to call it blood because it doesn't really look like blood. But we had a Rottweiler that hacked off, like a leg. And when that happened, within 3 days, the dog died.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, he hacked off the wrong part of him because if he bit his head off, then we would have had the body. But,
right.
The Rottweiler, so he bit what he could get. And unfortunately, they just disappear. It's kind of like they step back out of phase and they're gone. That's it. Next.
Isn't that frustrating for you of what you're...
Well, that's why I like the sword because, quite frankly, when we get into a firefight like that, I've gotten them, literally to the point where I've had them by the neck and I look right into those compound fly eyes of theirs and literally listen to the breath go out of them.
Jeez.
And, I was 4 inches away from their, little face.
God, man.
It was quite satisfying, actually. I couldn't wait.
Oh, that's incredible.
Popped them like a zit.
That's fucking...
If it would have fucked up my dog, I would have done the same thing.
Oh, dude.
Well, I see, that's the whole thing with me. I'm a really easygoing person. I'm a nice guy. But it's like you come and mess with something that's mine that I'm responsible for, and I will.
It's no holds barred.
Damage.
Yeah, no holds barred at that time. You said
No.
you said you wouldn't call it blood. I think in one of the things I listened to you.
Transmission fluid.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. You referenced that it kind of like as transmission fluid. Okay.
Oh man,
Crazy.
Transmission fluid?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It's kind of reddish brown. Kind of looks like used, GM transmission fluid, and it's just nasty, and it's acidic as hell. I mean, it'll burn right through just about anything.
That's insane. And that's just like it's something the world has never seen before, too. That and when I'm reading through the studies that you sent out the samples, they're just like we don't. It's a smoking gun because you can't nail it down or say exactly what it is, and that's the strange part about it. That's
the whole thing, and that is that this stuff has been it's gone around. I mean, the government's had it. There's at least 3 Ivy League universities that have studied it. There's 2 or 3 of them that are University of and then pick a state.
Yeah.
And they've all been into this stuff. They didn't know what they were getting, so it was all done with a blind. Kind of a blind study kind of situation.
Right.
But every one of them came back and said, you know what, this stuff, we've never seen it before. It doesn't exist on Earth. Where'd you get it?
Jesus.
And of course, we didn't tell them. So It's pretty incredible. I mean, we have the actual, legitimate proof that ET is here on Earth and that it's not friendly.
That is,
at least not these guys.
That is gnarly. Now, what's it feel like when you chop into one of these things? Does it feel like you're hitting a trash bag full of dog shit? Does it feel like bones?
It kind of feels like you like, I don't know, like you popped a turkey wing on a big turkey.
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
And I recall in some of the interviews you say that it's hard to immediately kill them with one swipe. That sometimes it takes more than a couple swings. It
depends on how pissed off I am and how sharp the sword is at the time. Quite frankly.
Oh, I can imagine.
I mean, if I'm really riled up, it's like a 9-iron. I mean, it just.
I love it.
You're gonna put that ball right where it's got to go.
Do you practice with the sword at all?
I've been off and on throughout the years. I've had a fair amount of martial arts training.
Okay.
And, I've been at it since I was like 14. So, I'm kind of like the guy who plays guitar in his basement. I'm not exactly, I'm not big enough to, get on a monster stage someplace and do it for a living. But, I can hold my own.
Okay. That's me and Rob. We play guitar. We suck, but we play guitar. So.
So you've talked about killing them. You've talked about hacking away at them. What we kind of want to know also is that you can recall, have they made any like audible sounds or made like talked like in any type of voice or anything that you recall?
No, the most I've ever heard of them is the hiss coming out of them when I squeeze the life out of one.
I was really hoping that you were going to say like, yeah, when you hit them, they're like, oh, like when like
No.
used to hit my dad in the nuts when I was little. He'd be like, oh shit,
No, nothing like that, unfortunately.
Oh man, can you sense? I know that obviously you see them, but whenever they're around, do you have like a sixth sense? Can you sometimes feel them when they're around before you actually see them?
Apparently not. I used to. I think I've been around them for so many years and so often. I did a 5-hour world interview yesterday on Skype with video, and there were all sorts of people on the panel. And about every few minutes, somebody's face would look like somebody just, lit a dick lighter under their ass or something, and their eyes would get all big. And I'm like, what the hell, And then all of a sudden everybody's saying, do you know what's behind you? And I'm like, I can imagine, but why don't you, enlighten me? And they're like, it's a green orb, or it's a head of an alien, or it's, this, that, or the other. And it happened like, I don't know, over 5 hours. It happened probably 6 or 7 times.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think that I actually, a lot of times, even know they're there. Everybody else sees them, but I don't always see them.
Okay.
And I certainly don't feel them anymore. And I kind of have this philosophy that it's like, I can't stop you from being here, and you can't kick my ass enough to make me leave. So, it's like we're just going to like put up with each other. And
Lock
as long
horns,
as you don't
man.
do anything that pisses me off too bad, I'm not going to go actively, go try to kill your ass.
God. Now I know in the beginning of the story we're talking about the phone guy coming out. To this day, do you still have problems with people? Maybe I guess contractors or people coming out there to do work. Does the pizza guy just launch the pizza from the street and keep on driving, or how does that work?
No, we don't even get delivery.
Oh
like
man,
nobody comes out here. I
That's
mean, nobody
miserable.
official anyway. What's funny is that I used to run ads like in on Craigslist for to get help to do stuff.
Yeah,
and people would come out. They'd be 30 feet up in the air working on something. And all of a sudden, like a gray, literally, would hand him a wrench. and the guy would turn around and go, thank you. And then he'd look and he'd go, oh, my God.
I gotta go.
And practically fall off the ladder. And after that happened a couple of times, this place got the reputation that, doesn't matter what he pays, don't go out there.
Oh, man. Now, we did an episode about, we did a Craigslist episode where the guy was hiring people, and then he would just kill them when they got to the ranch there. So I think I would definitely go with your deal to hang out with the ETs instead of getting my head shot. So
well, I mean, we get lots of crazy requests. We get people we even get people that are pretty kinky that they're like, could I sleep with one of them? I'm like, just get out of here.
John,
You know?
you are in the right place for this shit, man. If there's any weird stuff you want to tell us.
I'm telling you, it's bizarre. It really is. I have had, you can't imagine the kind of requests that I've gotten. You know, hey, I got my Harley. Can I take one of those ETs and bend them over and do it on the back of my Harley? And I'm like, no, we don't, we're not into that stuff.
We haven't fucked one yet.
Exactly. It's just crazy. I mean, I'm a really straight up kind of guy. And it's like, it's bad enough to have all the wacko crap with the ETs, but then to get all the sick bastards that want to do stuff to them is even crazier.
So this makes me just want to know, do they have dicks?
I never noticed anything like that. I mean, it's if they do, it must be so small that doesn't matter.
That's shots fired right there. You just told me that little dicks. You're gonna have a long night, John.
It could be that they're just so like farther along developed than we are. Maybe they don't have the need to have an exterior one.
I can buy that.
I couldn't tell you. I just for all I know, they're asexual.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
They're clones.
When now you spoke about the Bigelow Airspace and those guys coming out, and you kind of locked horns with them wanting to dig the place up. After the conclusion of their investigation, what was the general consensus from Bigelow Airspace?
Well, it was funny. A friend of mine, Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, was here at the same time. And I kept saying, Daryl, these guys are bugging me, He goes, you want me to do something about it? And I said, yeah, talk to him. So I put him on the phone with Bigelow and let him deal with them. And it was pretty funny because he said, look, you've already called here a whole bunch of times. If you wanted to sell the ranch, this is how much it would be. And if you don't want to pay it, then leave us the fuck alone.
Yes.
And that was it. It was done,
Okay.
And I rarely have ever heard from them since.
Okay. I know they took over Skinwalker Ranch, and it's kind of like...
yeah, they made it into like the, back alley of Area 51.
Right. And I think that would probably be... it would probably... If they did take that over from you, I'm sure it would hurt your heart a little bit just to see him shut it down to the world and kind of just treat it like an island, a million miles off the coast, I would think.
No, not really. I tell you, this place has been here, according to what we've gotten from information through the portal. We've been told that this property or this area has been active for 8,000 years.
Holy shit.
Ooh, man.
Okay, so I mean, this goes all the way back through Atlantis, Samaria, all the way back to the Anunnaki, the Ajiji. I mean, this is one of those locations because it has portals that not only allow for interdimensional transportation, but also across time. Okay, and there's two different types of portals, apparently. There's portals that'll just take you from like point A to point B,
right.
But then there's ones that can actually take you to a destination either forward or back in time.
Ooh.
And so there's only a handful of those, I guess, and this is one of them.
That's amazing.
So then this is, probably showing pretty much proof that these ETs probably been coming to this, to the ranch itself for at least the 8,000 years that we know of, I would assume.
Well, they've been here. See, that's the whole thing. Everybody thinks that we're being invaded. We're not being invaded. They've been here at least as long as we have.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different species here. I imagine like some, alien cafeteria or something. Everybody, laughs about it because,
an alien
they're
golden
like,
corral.
oh, those stupid humans, they think they're coming in from, Alpha Centauri or someplace, and it's like, they're not. I mean, they're here. They're just as much here as we are.
Yeah.
They may just like steak just as much as we do.
Not that golden corral steak.
Exactly.
Do you, are there certain times of the year where things are a little more active around the ranch than others?
I'm noticing over the years that because, it gets cold everywhere except here, that gets everybody excited to come here. And so I think all the extra visitors that come here, like the snowbirds, that gets them stirred up as well.
Okay. What about as far as the ETs? Does the activity pick up at certain times of the year?
Yeah, I didn't used to think so, but everybody that comes to Arizona in order to get out of the cold, they always want to come here. I mean, this is like a huge tourist stop. And because people come here and they're all excited and, they want to see stuff. And, everybody wants to, I guess it's like E.T. Disney or something. And, so people come and they bring a lot of energy. And, a lot of times they bring their anxiety and fears and everything else.
Sure.
And that really gets them stirred up. So this is kind of the time of year that things are peaking. Yeah. In the summertime, everybody's miserable. So I think that's a lot of low frequency energy too. So that kind of gets them going. Usually it's like from fall to Christmas, there's like nothing. It's like everybody's, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're in Detroit or something. I don't know.
It sucks if they're in Detroit. We've been there before. With all the abandoned animals you take in, do these grays get a little more explorative at all when you introduce new animals? Does that kind of move?
No, they've pretty much learned how protective I am of the animals.
Okay.
And every time that there's been a situation, excuse me, where they've gone after an animal, we've had a massive firefight, and it's like it was a week of me killing them 2 and 3 at a time.
Man.
And I'm not nice about it. It's like when I whack one, I mean, I stomp them like dog shit. Like I make an example out of them real hard.
It seems to me like you would almost like transcend your body, and you would take on just like you just go into this ultimate focus whenever you're dealing with this shit, and you kind of like you got to calm down afterwards. Like there's like a I don't know, like a cool off period because you're just out of your mind.
I really don't. I mean, I get jacked because of the fact that I know that it's not going to stop. I mean, when it starts up and it gets busy, I know it's going to go on until it's over. And, it's 2-3 days at a time, sometimes straight, where the stuff's going to go on.
Now, with the in relation to the mutilations, has there been have you received an answer from anyone on what the mutilations accomplish for the ETs, why they would perform those?
I can tell you what I've been told. I have absolutely no idea if there's any truth to it or not.
Okay.
But, the reason that the body fluids from any kind of animal are taken, the organs are taken, is pretty much, unfortunately, it's the same thing that all this horrible savagery that they're doing to children are, and that is that it's the adrenochrome. They're after all of those hormones to go ahead and get a high off of it.
Jeez. The aliens just want to get high and have fun, just like Americans, I guess. Well,
I wouldn't say exactly like, but yeah, they're
It's a completely different level. Not even.
Yeah.
That's some heavy, deep stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they literally hunt humans, and I've had this confirmed in other ways because I know people that are working in capacities where they work in the national parks.
Yeah.
And they see all the bodies, all the people that disappear.
Yes.
People don't understand. We lose hundreds of thousands of people every year in America. They just disappear. And it's all in the federal records. I mean, everything I'm saying can be looked up.
Yeah.
And, those people, most of them, if they ever find them, they only find pieces of them.
And we did a Missing 411 episode.
Yep.
And they just started keeping records within the past couple decades of all these people going missing. All the people,
Yeah, and they don't like to share those records.
They've known about it forever. They have known about it since at least the early 70s because I know people that were recording the records.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's things that happen that they can't explain with wild animals.
The Washashita Forest, where Oklahoma, southeastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, where all these parts all come together. That area is full of Bigfoot. I've seen them myself, so I know.
I love it.
And it's the same thing. I mean, they literally are hunting people.
That's insane. And I know in one of the interviews you talked about there possibly being something there that they're harvesting. I guess aside from the animals, but do you feel like if you received any more of an answer or like connected the dots in your brain anymore about what they're possibly looking for or what are they doing And you're at your ranch.
It's like a big bus station.
Okay.
You know, I mean, the portal that's on the back of the property is big enough when it gets fully airborne to be able to take a whole series of ships through it.
Jesus.
And, you know, we've seen them with night vision glasses where we've had witnesses that were out here and they brought all their, you know, pretty cool equipment. And they literally stood there for, 45 minutes to an hour just staring at these ships overhead. And they were in formation and they were waiting for that portal to open up so they could go through.
That's wicked. Now,
and then on top of that, we're told over and over again by different psychics and people that seem to have a way with knowing stuff like that. They'll come out, they'll look around the property. They always go to one spot on the property and they say, you have a ship that's under the ground.
Okay.
And so, we think a lot of the, heavy duty weirdness and see, like with me, I've got a lot of vehicles and I can tell you, if I don't go out and start those vehicles every 2 days, they're dead as a hammer.
Wow.
And I mean, I buy the best batteries, I keep them charged, everything. But
what a pain in the ass.
It is a huge pain in the ass. I believe me, I hate it. But the thing is it drains all the juice out of the batteries in the vehicles.
Right. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Now, I also I covered the relationship between you and W.C. Levengood, the biophysicist that handled some of the research for you. Through my digging, there was a couple media outlets that I didn't necessarily hear this from you, but they portrayed his death as having like some unsettled circumstances around it.
Yeah, I was told that he was murdered.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my question.
And
is
a couple of days after that, his wife was murdered.
Holy shit,
yeah,
man!
I remember.
But I can't confirm it. I was only told that.
Yeah.
But I know that everything in the lab that was related to the ranch, and he had lots of specimens. He had all sorts of stuff. Every bit of it disappeared. All the rest of his stuff in Grass Lakes, Michigan was still there. The only thing missing was all the stuff related to our story and our case.
Does that scare the shit out of you, man?
Nothing scares me.
Oh, you.
I would
I'm
assume
not bragging. I'm just telling you, I don't get scared.
Balls made of marbles, man.
I wouldn't expect a different answer.
Oh, I love it.
I look at it this way. I'm not looking for a problem, but I'm ready to deal with it.
Oh, God.
I get that. This is kind of relating to that last question, and I think I may have heard this, and I was asking Nick about it earlier here. Is it my understanding that Kevin Smith got you in?
Yeah, I used to produce for Kevin Smith.
Okay, that's what I thought, and he's the one that set you up with Dr. Levengood?
No, actually,
or through
Captain.
He got with someone who did.
Robert Collins. From out at in Ohio at the base.
He's from here.
Patterson.
Yeah,
we're 5 minutes away.
Yeah, we're real close there.
Well, I'm friends with him, and he introduced me.
I want to talk to him.
I was actually working for Kevin Smith at the time, and when all this stuff started happening, I was like, man, I need to find somebody that's credible that I can at least talk to and get some information. And we had just had him on as a guest, and I was very impressed with his very serious and truthful, attitude about everything. And so I said, what the heck, I'll call him and start there, as I have lists of like all the guests from Coast and all the guests from Kevin Smith that I used to, invite to do shows. And so, I know just about everybody, and I know, how to contact him and call him and talk to him.
That's awesome.
And so I called him up and I said, hey, man, got a situation here. You're going to think I'm nuts, but you sound like the person to talk to. And so I explained it to him, and he was just, blown away. But, he told me, he says, look, I'll get you in touch with somebody who could help you. And a few days went by, and, I ended up talking to Dr. Levengood. And, we spent hours talking on the phone, and he goes, tell you what, have you got samples? And I said, yeah, I got a whole freezer full of them. And he says, all right, well, can you chop some up and send them to me? And I was like, sure, I'll FedEx them to you. So, I cut them up, put them in glass, put them in a box, FedExed them. I always thought FedEx should hire me to probably the first guy that ever FedExed an ET.
Alien body parts.
And did you have a segment on Coast to Coast too?
I had lots of segments on Coast.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been pretty much everywhere. I mean, shows, radio shows all over the world. Everything's been translated into many different languages at this point. I mean, pretty much everywhere I go, everybody knows me.
That's great.
Speaking in terms of the Men in Black, I've spoke about them coming to your property, but have you seen them around when you have to go into town for supplies or anything? Have you seen them at other locations where they're possibly, keeping tabs on your location and what you're doing?
No. I've only had them come right through the gates. I tell people that I was out cleaning my gun collection one day on a picnic table in the carport, and these guys pulled up in SUVs and they got out and they walked on the property without my permission, walked, right up to me and, told me to stop, reporting all the information. And I looked at him and I said, well, hey, you got some ID? I mean, I don't know who you guys are. As far as I'm concerned, you could be the Blues Brothers. And, they didn't show me anything. All they did was they look like they look really weird because in person, right up close to them, honestly, their skin looks like uncooked chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Mm.
They don't even look human. I mean, they have human attributes and features, but man, they got some bad skin. I mean, they just look really bad.
They just look like something that's trying to be a human.
Yeah, and they, this is Phoenix. Everybody's got a tan, at least, some makeup or something. I mean, they don't look real. Whoever their special effects guy is, he sucks.
Have you had anything happen that made you take a step back and just laugh? I know a lot of this stuff, it probably feels like life and death at the time, but has there been any little nuances where you just step back and scratch your head man, that was something else?
Well, I had I get celebrities that come out here because, they're fascinated with all of it. And, I had one guy who's a very prominent guitarist, famous guitarist. And about 2:00 in the morning, I guess one of these little guys paid him a visit. And he screamed like a little girl, got up in the middle of the night, ran out, got in his truck, damn near ran through the front gates, came back. I need to leave. I had no clothes on, and he's just let me the hell out of here. And, I opened the gates for him and never to be seen again.
Jeez.
I'm going to say it was Ted Nugent. That's my official guess.
I don't think Ted would have had a problem with it. He probably would have just beat him over the head with a guitar and said, gone back to sleep.
He's probably the only guy in the entire world that's probably killed more than you, old Ted Nugent.
Well, I've met Ted. He's a pretty gnarly guy.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's awesome, man. Besides the incident where you went outside and had to open up fire on the craft above the property with your AK-47 to save your wife that night, have you actually ever shot one of these grays besides that incident?
Yeah, and I live in a house that has Italian quarry tile, like the real big 2-footers. And I'll tell you what, you do not want to shoot guns in a house with brick walls and quarry tile.
Oh my gosh,
that's what
bad idea. Bad idea. It's like a really bad pinball game with a hangover.
I was talking because I kind of talk about the topics with my buddies at work before, because it helps me kind of talk it out before I actually record. And they're like, "Why is this guy using a sword?" I'm like, "Why would you want to fucking discharge a firearm inside the house?"
It breaks stuff.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's very satisfying to use a sword.
I bet it is.
Dude, I want to chop somebody up with a sword so bad.
Just, it has its own kind of mystique that goes with it. It's just a satisfying feeling.
Yeah, it's that primal hate. Doing it with your hands.
When you're in the zone.
Right. Oof.
I can't wait. I'm going to chop up my cat with a sword as soon as we get done.
No.
Don't do that.
I love my cat.
No, don't do that. But it really does. It makes a certain, just sort of a, I don't know, it's like a mix-up. Yeah. Kind of a twangy feeling in the sword.
Yes.
And you just know that you've done what you need to do.
Is there any other creatures? I know I've read about the Brillo wire man. Is that, tell us about the Brillo wire guy.
Jimmy Church called him that. He's the one that coined that term.
Okay.
And, he was exactly right when he did that. We were out at Contact in the desert, and I was talking to him. And, then he interviewed me later on, and he came up with that. And it's really a good description. If you can imagine, like, the Stay Puft guy, except made out of, like, some really gnarly looking, steel wool that's, been used way too long and it's kind of rusty.
He looks like a giant crack pipe.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, that's really what it looks like. And
man.
they're about 8 or 9 feet tall.
Jesus.
And they don't say anything, but they can move right through objects. See, the one thing when you're dealing with any of these guys is they have the ability to be able to go out of phase and in phase. What I mean by that is that if you think of an onion and you think of each skin on the onion as a different dimension, well, these ETs all have the ability to be able to transpose physical matter and to be able to walk right through it.
Jesus.
And that's how they go through glass, they go through walls, they go through steel. Doesn't matter. I mean, I used to have a pit bull that, she had a permanent headache from like chasing these guys around the house. And she constantly, smash into walls, smash into doors. She'd be just about ready to grab one by the leg or something, and they'd disappear. She'd end up biting the wall.
Jeez,
so,
man.
Yeah.
I would imagine if there is an end all for everything, it would require many people of like deep spiritual capabilities. Has there been a remedy offered to you that someone said, hey, this is what's going to make all of the activity stop at the ranch? Something that made you, you're like,
it's never going to stop. It's not about me. It's I'm just the guy that ran out of money and couldn't buy another ranch. So I've been here. The thing about it is that I'm stubborn. I'm extremely stubborn. And, I don't get scared. So I just look at it and it's kind of like I've got this like little flea circus with ETs, in my midst. And, there's no way to get rid of it, but I'll be damned if I'm just going to, get chased off by them.
And you should be stubborn, man. You should be proud of everything you've accomplished out there and fucking stand your ground like you have done. So.
I've been killing these little bastards longer than most people have had a professional job.
Right. It's true.
And I guarantee you nobody handed me a gold watch yet.
I'm 30 and I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do, John.
Well, you got a few years. I was 35 before I bought this place.
Okay.
There's still hope for us.
Yeah. Little, but now that concludes all of my. Rob, you got anything else?
I got two more questions. There's they kind of go hand in hand with each other. Building off of his last question. I think there's two parts of your story whenever I'm going through it, whenever we're telling it, that were probably my favorite parts to listen to, and probably the craziest that I can imagine for you to experience. Maybe one, not so much the other, but the one for me, which Nick said, if there was anything you think that could have stopped it. My initial reaction whenever I first read this story was my interest was piqued by the man that popped up with the machete at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was there ever a time where you thought like, fuck, I should have just kept this guy around?
Well, in the beginning, yeah. The thing is that, out of this whole thing, I have very few regrets.
Right.
The biggest regret I have was the fact that I didn't listen to my wife, because my wife is a tremendous sweetheart. And, when we first saw the place, we had been looking all over the country. We'd gone up to like Seattle, we'd gone to Oregon, we'd gone to Maine, we'd gone to all these places looking at properties. But this was the most property for the money. And It was already here, and it meant we could keep our jobs for what we were already doing, because my wife was working at the FBI. And, here I am, I'm a psychiatric social worker. And we had good professional jobs that we put a lot of years in school and, worked hard to be able to get to the point in our careers where we were. And so we decided, okay, I decided basically, I bought it and I just told her, I said, look, you're not used to living in the country. You'll get used to it. And it was totally wrong of me to do that. I should have listened to her.
You gotta always listen to your wife's intuition, man.
Well, I mean, we'd probably be like living in Ventura or something, now, but oh well.
That's good.
And then my other question, which I'm sure is probably something you've answered before, and this is the other incident that jumps out that I remember the most, is the incident with the pole and the horse, where the pole was wrapped around the horse when you went out.
Yeah, it wasn't a pole; it was a fence, hole. These panels that we have out here, they're 8 to 10 feet, 12 feet long, 5 feet tall, 4 rail, inch and 7/8, something like that. Steel.
Okay.
And this horse had been mangled, but it was literally wrapped up like a pretzel in the fence. I mean, the fence pieces were bent around the horse. And, I reported it to the Arizona Livestock Association.
Mm-hmm.
I reported it to the sheriff. They came out, they photographed everything. But nobody had any answers, and back then this was, very strange and, high weirdness and everything. But, everybody just kind of shrugged their shoulders and sat there and looked at each other.
That is wicked, man.
I had no idea that anybody knew that this stuff was going on until we had a giant black triangle floating over the front corral, and literally you couldn't see the sky because this ship was so big and it was so black. And I'm like, Jesus, who do I call? Well, I called Peter Davenport at the UFO Reporting Center, and I got him on the phone. I'm like, hey, Peter, dude, I'm like sitting here looking at a giant black triangle. And he goes, well, you need witnesses. You need a camera. You need this. You need that. And I'm like, well, I don't have any of that stuff. He goes, call 911. So I call 911. I put him on hold, and the sheriff comes out, and this guy, it's a summer evening. There's no rain or anything. It's like 108 degrees. And this guy's wearing a raincoat. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's kind of weird. That's almost as weird as this damn triangle. And you can't see the badge. You can't see the insignia that has his badge number on his hat or anything else. And I'm thinking, okay, what's up with this? So I'm sitting there talking to him. Peter Davenport's on the other line. And I'm like, officer, could you please make a report of this? Could you take some pictures? Could you do something so that we have a record of this? And he just looks at me and he goes, there's absolutely no way in hell I'm going to report this.
Wow. Oh, geez.
And I said, well, why not? And he goes, are you kidding me? This would become an official record. And that was literally, Peter Davenport was on the other end of this thing listening the whole time.
That is
so
crazy.
That told me right then and there that, all this stuff's been happening for a long time. I've talked to literally dozens and dozens of families over the years that have been living in the deep desert, and they've been seeing this stuff forever. And everybody just says, yeah, it's happening. It's out there. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm the only damn fool that has ever said, hey, world, you need to know about this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I went out there and put the word out there.
That is crazy, man. Well, John, that brings the end of our interview. And like I said before, you are still you're still actively running. What's the name of the charity you run for
I operate Hopeful Hooves Incorporated, which is a 501c3 charity, and donations are made are tax deductible. Everything goes to the horses. We don't take salaries. We don't take anything. It's all put back directly into helping abandoned horses and other animals.
Because it is thousands of dollars a year to feed a single horse.
Well, we have 15 horses on the property right now, and it's about $2,000 per horse per year just for the food.
Okay, and we'd love the Brohio listeners to help out with that. What's the best monetary way they can shoot you a donation for Hopeful Hooves?
Well, you can go a couple of different ways. You can either go on PayPal and just go to Hopeful Hooves at Yahoo, and all the information's there, and you can make a donation that way, or you can just send it directly to the ranch, and I'll send you a personal receipt.
Okay.
The address is 14700 South Tuthill Road. That's Tuthill Road, Buckeye, Arizona 85326. And anybody wants to talk to me directly, they can always get me via Facebook under my name, John Edmonds, or they can just pop me a email. It's RottyJohn, ROTTIJOHN 411 at MSN.com.
That is awesome, man. And next time I'm on vacation in Phoenix, I'm gonna shoot you an email. I'm gonna try to have a come beer with you, John.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. I hope this was a different interview.
Much better interview than almost any of the other ones. I mean, I feel like like we're just hanging out and talking.
We are hanging out.
Exactly the best way to do an interview.
That's what we try to do.
The only thing is, you're probably wearing clothes. Rob and I are fucking butthole naked. So.
Well, I'm glad you didn't tell me that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Right on.
All right, take care, brother.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
That was
What an awesome interview.
that was the best.
That was great.
That was great. A+. Better than the fucking demonologists that never even made the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edmonds. That was a pleasure.
Better than Michael Minkin, the alien thought screen.
And that was a good one.
That was a good one, too. That was the best. And this is the end of the Brohio podcast episode.
Hopefully you guys stuck around this far because that was great. So
it was.
Thank you guys very much for listening.
So now we're going to go back and finish the episode.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.